Have you ever been that sick in the car, just out of curiosity?
I've never pooped or peed on myself, if that's what you're asking.
You've never done the Denny Hamlin pee your pants in the car just because?
No, but I have. I mean, I have been pretty sick getting in the car.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go on the ball. California's Kevin Harvick does it. Tree making right there. You're the man.
Welcome to Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour, presented by NASCAR on Fox. I'm Kevin Harvick. She's Kaitlyn Vincie. And he's our ever enthusiastic Mamba Smith.
The old hype officer.
Old Chief Hype.
Look at that gold jacket he is wearing today.
I love the old school type jacket.
I do too.
And it actually says Chief Hype Officer on it.
Yeah, embroidered right up.
Shout out to my boy Ben. Genius jacket.
Genius jacket.
Is
this like
impressive.
a collaborative design effort, or are you asking for things and he's making them?
Yeah,
how's this working?
I give him like a couple of things that I want in it, and then I let him be creative.
Like the trophy is on the back, and you guys can't see that who are watching. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the trophy's on the back, and then
the cup one.
And then all the primary partners over here on the shoulder, so I can wear it, doing work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is a Charlotte guy.
You're getting a lot of use out of the jean jacket.
You like the jean? The jean vest is fire. That one, the black one, is sick.
Now, will you sweat while you're sitting here today? I mean,
I don't know. I'm pretty cool. I'm feeling pretty cool. So
feeling pretty cool.
Okay. He's also got Tom Brady.
Oh,
on his shirt. So you want to explain why?
So this is when Tom won after the Buccaneers Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he had a really good time. And got carried off the boat.
Carried off the boat.
Yeah, helped. He didn't get carried. He got helped off the boat.
Yeah,
assisted. And Tom,
for good reason.
Yeah, he's our partner at Fox. He's gonna go do.
Hopefully,
he's got the Cowboys and the Cleveland Browns game this week to start it off. So
exciting.
I saw that he had his little bid for the Raiders.
Yeah.
Got his information cut down a little bit.
Yeah, he's gonna
get that all sorted.
But he's Tom Brady, so he's just gonna do great.
Gonna figure it out.
Tom Brady, yeah. Wow.
You don't need to ask questions.
No.
It's gonna be cool to watch him in the booth for sure. And I also want to note Kevin's shoe choice today for the show. Why don't you explain what you got on there and why?
Well, these have been sitting in the closet for a while, and I figured today was a good day since MJ was at the race.
Yeah.
I figured I'd wear the Jordans today. Since Tyler Reddick won the championship and support,
regular season
buy
honors.
some more tires, so I figured I'd put in my half a penny's worth.
Hey, listen, I mean the blue on blue on the jean, it's all working. And then the belt is like gray, and it goes with the gray sweat. Like you
did good today. Did Delana help you?
I had to ask a couple times.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I put it all on myself, and then I'm like, "Are you sure this is okay?" Because I feel like the Easter Bunny.
You mean the pastels?
Yeah.
Is that why? It looks good. You look sharp.
Didn't even see the pastels.
Everybody looks good today because we're gearing up
for
the
snakeskin.
I got the snakeskin, yeah. Postseason. It is officially here. This is one of the most exciting times of the year. So we encourage all the closers to keep subscribing on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Also rate the show 5 stars and leave us a review.
Yeah. Oh, and holler at us on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Your boy will be engaging.
I'll be there to referee.
Kevin will be there too. Don't ask him too hard.
will be
I'm
there.
gonna check up on you. I've seen some of your X posts every once in a while, and it seems pretty. It's definitely very engaging.
People like to engage, and they want a platform, and sometimes I'll give them one, and then.
Then you have to set them straight.
You gotta bite back, right?
Straight. Yeah, you just gotta let them know, and we do it on Instagram and X, and now we're on YouTube. So come check us out.
There you go. Go hang out with these two guys in the comments. Okay, so we have plenty to talk about today after Darlington, the regular season finale. We, of course, will preview the playoffs. The first round is right around the corner. Mamba has some good social sips on tap as well. But honestly, guys, I thought this was one of the most exciting final stages we've seen all year. We got exactly what we wanted. Guys who are in must-win situations up there vying for the victory, and it was Chase Briscoe.
We went through the first 2 stages. I was like, my goodness, am I going to be able to stay awake? And then the third stage happened, and that's just, I think that is a lot of, I think that is the right strategy at Darlington. Get yourself to the dark, get yourself to the third stage, and you're going to have a chance, because it's always going to get wild when that last caution comes out, and that in that third stage, because that's going to lead to another caution, and you just never know how many times that's going to lead to more cautions and chaos. But we saw the chaos.
Yes, we did.
I think when you look at just Chase Briscoe in general, I mean, you could tell that he was just, the fire was lit.
It was. They came to play.
They came to play. And
around.
he was not messing around on the restarts. That last restart, where he took, not the last restart, but when he took the lead to take those guys 3 wide, he was not giving the lead back. And I was a little surprised, honestly, at the very end that Kyle Busch didn't get closer to him with the new tires. I think that was just the difference in where Kyle's car performance was to him. Once they got 3 or 4 laps on the tires, those tires start to equalize a little bit, but the aero and that grip level starts to go down every lap that you run. But Chase did an amazing job. Their car was fast from the beginning. Our cars were fast there last year. We lost that race there last year at Stewart-Haas leading, and the caution came out 2 feet from the pit road speed line. But really, Ryan Preece ran decent.
Yep.
Josh Berry ran good. Tore up his car and didn't get to finish that off. But
no one was around there too. He got in that.
But Chase Briscoe ran in the front all night, and he just finally got control at the end.
What were you thinking in the last closing stage there?
I was starting to come out of my seat.
Yeah, so was I. I stood up.
It was exciting. I was just like, this is everything you want, and like you can't get this without this system.
This
and
format,
and I love this system for this. It's not manufactured. This is real, and it just the fire and the drama and all of it was great. Briscoe was like, he was there all day.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing. He was there all day, just taking his time, wasn't pressing Kyle too much. And I wonder if he knew, I'd like to talk to him when I see him next and be like, how good did you know your car was? And were you kind of trying to lull Kyle into not pushing too hard? Because if he knew his car was a little better, then maybe he's just like riding, because that part of the race doesn't matter. You're just trying to keep track position.
I think his strong point were the restarts.
Yeah.
I think his strong points were the fact that he could run that different line, the lower apron line into one. I think that's why he fell off a little bit on the long run, because it's harder on that right rear tire as you run deep into those runs. And he was able to do things on the restarts that he couldn't do 20 laps into the run when everything moved up to the fence. And then it was just, he didn't have the advantage that he had at the beginning. But when he got track position, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but at the end of the race, when they took the checkered flag, you couldn't see anybody else behind them.
They were out of there.
They were gone.
Yeah.
They had checked out.
We got to give flowers to Kyle Busch, because Kyle Busch is he's still that dude. Like the him to come from, I think it was like 9th or whatever, to even get to the close to the bumper of the 14 was insane. And I was like torn, because on one side I want Stewart-Haas to have a car in the playoffs, the team shutting down, and Briscoe's moving on and all that stuff. On the other hand, Kyle Busch, like, if he gets in the playoffs, like, as well as they're running right now,
he's making noise.
He's making some noise. And, like, if he gets on a roll, and you could see it in his interview after, he's like, there's a little smile, even
there
though
was a little
smile to it. So he's got a smile.
And
I think when you look at Kyle Busch, kudos to RCR for what they've done since the Olympic break.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Those cars were not very good, for the most part, the first 26 weeks or first 20 whatever weeks.
Yeah.
But since that Olympic break, whatever they have done since that break, both of those cars of Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch have been capable of running up front and leading laps. And I think it's unfortunate that we don't get to see Kyle kind of make his way through the playoffs, because I really do feel like he could make some noise, and I feel like there's a couple guys that aren't going to make much noise and get eliminated. But that's
part of it.
That's part of it. But I was surprised that he didn't get to him because of the tires. I was surprised that Bubba Wallace didn't pit the first time when they had 3 or 4 laps on their tires there. I think that was a mistake. I think that kind of started the spiral of not having a chance there at the end, because he was 8th at that particular time, and then wound up 2 cars in front of all the guys that had new tires on, and then it put him back in the firestorm, and then they pitted, and I think they misstepped right there, not putting tires on to give themselves a chance.
They needed that run to be like 3 laps.
Yeah.
And then allow them to pit, because those guys probably would have pit with them, because they just saw how much, you know what I mean? But by the time the caution came out, he was like 12th.
Yeah.
Like he was just right in the hornet's nest.
I want to talk about 2311 a little bit later, but I want to go back to Chase Briscoe for a moment and some of the things his crew chief, Richard Boswell, said, winning that race and doing it for all the people at Stewart-Haas Racing, because we've talked all season long what a hard year it's been for all those people. This is huge for that team to be able to get them into the playoffs, and just rewarding for those guys who've been through a lot this season.
I listened to an interview with Greg Zipadelli, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to him. I think he's been through a ton of really awkward, hard, difficult moments with not only the team, but Tony Stewart through the years. And those guys always find a way to battle and put themselves in position. I mean, I was a part of it for a number of years, and it was never, this is the end. It's like, well, we got to keep going. We got to figure it out. And those guys are fighting to the very end of a company.
Yeah.
Right? Even though the Haas factory team is going to have one Cup car and a couple Xfinity cars, it's not the same company.
Yeah.
It's not. Tony Stewart is not there. I talked to Tony for an hour this week or last week, and just, he's in a great spot as a person. And, I think that when you look at everything that company has accomplished, and the reason I bring Tony up is because that was really what took Haas to the next level and got them winning races. But Greg was there, from the beginning to help that transformation and everything that went with that company. Now he's going to be there till the very last day. And they've figured out how to put a car in the playoffs. And I don't think anybody expected any of those cars to be anywhere near the playoffs. And I'm like you guys, I was sitting there last night, I'm thinking to myself, my God, this place is going to get a car into the playoffs. And when you listen to Greg talk, and he talks about how many people have left. It was Matt Weaver's interview in Victory Lane. It was how many people have left the company and how hard that has been just to put cars on the racetrack. And their engineers showing up to the racetrack and their computers not working because Ford has cut them off.
That's what I mean. Like, this is an impressive feat for them, what they've been through.
And, I think ultimately, if they don't get it figured out, which it seems like they can always get it figured out, it's going to hinder them in the playoffs. Yeah. And ultimately, Ford doesn't want them to win anymore. Yeah. I don't think. I don't think that they want them to beat their cars that are going to be there next year. I think they want their cars that are going to be there next year to beat that Stewart-Haas car. But that's not going to hinder the enthusiasm that comes from the employees and the people in those cars, because they've showed it all year. I mean, we've seen Josh Berry in the mix last week. We saw, Briscoe in the mix this week and win the race. So Noah made a lot of noise throughout the year. So just a lot of grit and determination from a lot of great racers.
Yeah, you know what they probably have done now? It's kind of like the Stewart-Haas of old, because when they came in, they were the underdogs and they were doubted, and they won, I think, a bunch of races with Tony in that first year, and he led them into the playoffs, and then they didn't win the championship, and then later on they did win. They kind of backed in the corner. They got literally nothing to lose.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you might as well, you push the envelope, push it all the way. Honestly, push the sand out the sandbox, because you got nothing to lose. If you win one race, and then you advance, and then you advance, and if they go to Phoenix, Chase has won at Phoenix.
Yeah.
If they get to Phoenix, they could really mess this whole thing up.
And he's a good road racer.
Yeah.
He can go to the Roval and go to Atlanta. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah. So big moment, of course, for Stewart-Haas Racing. So too for 2311, who got the regular season honors there with Tyler Reddick. We got to give him flowers too, because the poor man apparently was shitting his pants and throwing up in the seat. Like, I feel for his interior mechanic and whoever else has to deal with that. But man, he had some cojones on him to fight through that.
It was when they first started talking about his stomach being upset. There was a long ways to go in that race.
Yeah, it was like stage one.
Like 2.
Yeah.
It was at the very beginning.
Yeah, and I listened to his press conference, and he talks about the bump off of turn 2 upsetting his stomach, and I was like, oh no. Man, there is nothing worse than sitting in that car with a stomach ache
and it was
having
hot.
the belts just against you, and it was as hot as it's been all year.
Smoke show.
And that race is just difficult in general because of where you are and how much work and effort you have to put into that racetrack, with every lap being different, and the grind and just the mental concentration that comes with that. To be able to not think about his stomach and whether he was gonna throw up or crap his pants, either way, he kept battling through it and wound up winning the regular season championship by one freaking point.
I love that.
And I think that just says says a lot about the determination of
totally
a lot of these guys that sit in those cars.
Have you ever been that sick in the car, just out of curiosity?
I've never pooped or peed on myself, if that's what you're asking.
You've never done the Denny Hamlin pee your pants in the car just because?
No, but I have. Okay. I mean, I have been pretty sick getting in the car.
Oh, God, how do you guys do that? I don't even understand how
It's just this weird feeling of when you're that sick and you get in the car of being determined just to prove everybody wrong, but all of a sudden you just wind up in this zone of, I'm just going to do this today and I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And you wind up engulfed in all the things around you that are happening and able to just block it out. The worst thing that happens is the caution comes out.
And you start thinking about it again.
Worst time. Am I going to make it?
With MJ in attendance, having his own flu game, Tyler Reddick gutting that thing out is crazy. He came across the stage, and like the guy, like they all come across like suited and booted, like everything. He come across and his fire suit was down around his waist. So like it's kind of a rule. Like you never walk outside of your trailer with your fire suit. It's either all the way off, like you either in street clothes or it's up. And his was down around his waist. And I look at him, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, not feeling too well. So he was feeling bad even before he got into the car. Like he was cooked. But I texted Kim Kuhn because she interviewed him after the race. I said, Kim, did he smell funny? And she laughed and she said, no, he's okay. I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know how.
God.
So shout out to Tyler Reddick. Way to do it, kid.
And
Trooper.
2311 as a whole. I mean, that's impressive too for them because they haven't been around that long to already check this box.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to make for well, let me start here. 2311 has done a great job. I think when you look at the resources financially that Michael has given, has given and Denny to be able to go in there and help manage the whole situation, it's built to succeed, and it's not had anything. Doesn't sound like it's had anything held back financially from being able to go out and get the right people and all the resources and things that they have with Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing. So, congratulations to them. I think it's a heck of a feat to win the regular season championship. It's also going to create a lot of confusion. You know why?
What was that, Kevin? What is that, Kev?
Because the 5 car actually won the owners championship.
Yeah, here we go. That is confusing for people.
It is confusing. So, Kyle Larson missed the Coke 600.
Right.
His car did not miss the Coke 600. So his car got points, but he did not get points. So he wound up losing by 1 point, missing a race, but his car wound up winning the regular season championship because it did not miss the race. It was in the race with Justin Allgaier driving the car. So, I know NASCAR doesn't like to talk about all that, but it's I've been in these scenarios before where in the Xfinity series where the driver wins but the car doesn't.
Yeah,
and it definitely takes something away because they have to split the presentation.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because back in the day it was like that pretty frequently. In the Xfinity series, and it kind of like I remember watching. I was always excited about that because someone else had something else to rate. Like they would bring in some not a random driver, but another driver that wasn't, because the car was like, Gibbs did all the time. They had like 8 different drivers.
Yeah.
And like Matt DiBenedetto would run 2 and like Brad Coleman would run 2. And they all got to share in a championship, which I think is cool because those guys, for the most part, never got a full-time ride.
Yeah.
But you're still a champion and you were a part of something great. So
yeah, and I think that the interesting part of it is it's not a large amount of points, but it's enough to where there could be Kyle Larson out of the chase or out of the championship. But the 5 car in.
Yeah, that's when it gets really interesting.
Then it would be really confusing.
We were like that with Bubba.
Yeah,
a couple years ago, Bubba was out. The 45 was in because Kurt had won before he got hurt.
Right.
And then Ty Gibbs was filling in.
They actually swapped his number.
They swapped. So the 23 team became the 45 car number and vice versa because that number had to stay in. So
well, either way, I think Tyler Reddick's going to make some noise.
Oh yeah.
I think with this first round of playoffs, are you ready to go there yet?
Not yet, but we'll go there.
Never mind.
In a bit. But I want to go here.
She's the boss.
I want to go here. So those are some of the positive stories. Now for the not so much. Chris Buescher missed, of course, advancing to the postseason, and Kevin was like, "Well, maybe he should have." What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I think when you look back at 6 points, you could start figuring out
where you made
a lot of spots. But the thing that intrigues me about RFK is there was a point at the beginning of the year, it was like, man, are these guys ever going to show up? Well, all of a sudden there was 3 or 4 weeks there, they were back. And now they're now they're hit or miss and not consistently fast, and they haven't been consistently fast. And when I look at this race at Darlington yesterday, I think to myself, I'm like, man, Brad Keselowski's going to be good. Chris Buescher's going to be good because of just the grind and the long runs, and that was never the case. And so I don't know why they're so hit and miss this year. It's not hard to do with this car. It's very easy to do, but I don't know where the speed came from. A few weeks, and they were able to Brad was able to get to victory lane, and you think back to the first Darlington and that little scuffle between Reddick and Buescher. And you think back to that one particular day when Chris talked about getting to victory lane that day and having that win taken away from him, and that moment that they had, and how mad he was. Well, he definitely knew. That particular day, how important that moment was to get to victory lane, because with this system, you get these winners that come into play late in the season when everybody starts throwing Hail Marys and really putting a lot of extra effort into the details that go into their car. Yep. And you have the Chase Briscoe and the Harrison Burtons win races. Well, then if you haven't won and you wind up with 2 points position, I mean, think about it. Ross Chastain was 70-some points up, and he missed it by 33 points.
Right. Pretty unbelievable.
Martin Truex all but missed it with his moment that he had yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it too. Like, we could have had about 17 winners pretty easily.
Oh yeah,
right. I mean, so let's look at if you don't take Darlington 1, take Kansas. And, we got Kyle Larson and Buescher banging doors to the finish line and closest finish ever or whatever it was. So he'd be, take that the other way. He'd be in. The Atlanta one, already 1 for 1 because the 99 made it instead of the 8, right? So that's but you could have added a couple very easily in other racetracks. So, man, I'm telling you, there's nothing like this playoff system and this format. And I know that as a competitor, it's frustrating, and like you have someone like Bubba who ran fast enough and he's been quick enough to be there and to probably, by that measuring stick, deserves to be in, but you got to win. And everyone else had, and some guys did and some guys didn't.
Kyle Busch has been the best car lately. Well, not the best car. He's been one of the best cars since the Olympic break, and he's not in.
So one driver you referenced that almost didn't make it and who went into the weekend with a 58-point advantage above the line was Martin Truex Jr. Made a big mistake on lap 3. What did you think when you saw this?
Well, I went through this my last year. There's just a lot to manage that you typically wouldn't manage because it's your last year with people showing up and things happening. I'm not saying that we just don't see Martin Truex make these types of mistakes very often. But with this car, the way that he hit those front wheels, we saw it with Corey LaJoie at Michigan. We've seen it with a bunch of guys, and people were like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." But when you hit that right front tire, like he hits it, it just makes the car go sideways. And in those moments, it's hard to just spin the car out because you don't really, it all happens so quick. And then when you correct it and those wheels are to the right, it makes it go back up the racetrack. And Blaney was in the wrong spot. But man, we don't see many mistakes for Truex, but that all but cost him a playoff bid right there.
Yeah.
That would have been a miserable way to.
Could you imagine?
If he doesn't make the playoff, I'm glad he did, just for the standpoint of if this is the way that you end it, like the next 10 races.
The crew punched the car. Did you see that one?
Oh no,
Yoshi,
did they?
Yeah, just the frustration, right? Because it's like.
And they were fast. He qualified.
Yeah, they had a good car.
6 or whatever.
And he took all ownership for it. Of course, seemed very.
He said I was an
apologetic.
idiot.
Yeah,
and that's just a product of Darlington. Daytime, trying to get too much. He knew how fast his car was, trying to get too much right there. So easy for the front tires to take off up the hill right there when you go into turn 1. With these next-gen cars, when you go into turn 1, you turn in, and a lot of times that thing will just start, the front end will start flat sliding right there. And sometimes it's hard to stop, as I'm sure that's what happened
It's a 2-lane racetrack, but it kind of races like a 1-lane. You just run out of
real estate
where you want to be. So everywhere on the racetrack, once you I got good position, then the next part of the corner, you're in terrible position and getting loose.
So that was the beginning of the race. That incident happened. Then it was kind of quiet for a while, and then chaos starts to erupt in the final stage. 7th caution with 24 to go. We saw this with Josh Berry trying to make something happen. Another driver who was in a must-win situation, but it resulted in a pretty big pile up, to say the least. We see it here.
Yeah, they went into the corner 3 wide to start with right there, and Denny kind of wiggled, and it it looked like Josh went up the racetrack and then just kind of ran the 40 or the 54 into the wall. You see him right there. Got tight going in the corner, and Josh went up the racetrack and got into the side of the 54, and they all wrecked. But that incident really started off of turn 4.
Yeah.
When they were too wide and they got checked up right there, and Josh kind of stuffed it in the middle 3 wide, and they went 3 wide into the corner. So they had a good car. Probably just if he goes back and look at that, he'd probably wish that he would have just waited a minute, because the way that all that shook out, you would have had a chance.
Yeah.
With as fast as their car was.
Yeah, that was a turning point it was definitely a turning point for Bubba. Like they were in a tight spot anyway because they were so far back.
Wait a second. Timeout. That was not the turning.
No, it was a problem. Yeah, that's what
that was a problem of not pitting.
Right.
The previous caution. They were running 8th, didn't pit with 3 laps on their tires. They had 1 car, 2 cars behind them as a buffer, and then you just get swallowed up by new tires. And I don't understand why that they weren't on offense right there. You got to know that you're on that pivotal point that all those guys behind you are going to pit.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to stay out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe like in that situation, if you're thinking about staying out, you can at least kind of ease down there a little bit, because you can see them. If everyone starts peeling off, they were committed early.
Yeah, but it's Darlington. 3 laps. You got to pit. You got to pit right there. I mean, you put yourself on defense. When you're in an offensive position, you need to be off on the offense. And he gave Chris Buescher a chance to be, when the next caution came out, they were bumper to bumper.
Right. Because you were really racing the 17, and you knew he was coming down.
You knew he was coming.
Someone, what was crazy though? Someone who was not afraid to go on defense and it still was offense was Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
When they stayed out and they made it through turns 1 and 2, I'm like, how long is he going to be to do this? Oh,
he got a great restart.
Yeah.
He got a great restart. I really thought they were going to swallow him up when they went to take off.
Absolutely.
He sped it up, got a great restart, put himself in position to go into turn 1 correctly. Eventually got swallowed up into turn 3 with all the new tires, but they needed something lucky to happen.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like the 23 was in a lucky position.
Not at that point.
They didn't need luck at that particular point. They were still in a position to have a top 5 finish. And I think it's just one fumble on a missed pit call right there. Put him in the hornet's nest.
The 20 was the first one on that restart you were talking about to get to. I think the 20 got to 3rd. So Bell got to 3rd.
Yeah.
And he was like the 2nd car behind Bubba. So let's say Bubba pitted and they come out in the same spot he's probably sitting about 3rd because his car was really fast.
Bubba's going to come out first.
Yeah,
and I think if Bubba turns down pit road, you might see them all come down pit road, which is best case scenario, because if the other guys stay out, the other guys stay out, you're going to swallow them up anyway, because at that point there were 8 or 9 cars that were, really good. The rest of them were mediocre cars that had just salvage in a day. But yeah, I don't like where they were on the racetrack right there, not pitting.
So that is how Darlington went down. The regular season is officially behind us. The playoffs are about to start. So I want to talk a little bit about the teams who made it. Do we feel the right teams made the cut? Because I personally feel Bubba Wallace should be there. It's unfortunate, kind of what you guys just explained.
I think when you look at look at all this, with the emphasis that is put on winning, these guys all went out to win. And when you look at Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex, who had the most points, they put together the best 26 races from a point standpoint. And I think, looking at the cars that are running good right now, that are better than some of those cars that made it, they didn't win.
Right.
And, as much as we talk about points and today we're just going to talk about the system. And if you don't win, you put yourself in a vulnerable position to not make the playoffs. I've been on both sides of that. And that's what, Chris Buescher, he knew it at the first Darlington. He knew how important winning that race was at Darlington that day. And he knew leaving there that he was missing an opportunity. You go back and you look at Kyle Busch, started at the Daytona 500, had an opportunity in position to win, gets taken out. We go to Vegas, pit crew just fumbles all over the place 3 times and he's out. And, we could go and name 4 or 5 other guys that probably were in position to do that. You look at Martin Truex. He hung on by the skin of his teeth. And But think about how many races he was in contention to win. Ty Gibbs, same thing. But instead, now you're in the position that you're in, almost missing.
So we're seeing the points now, obviously the reset. And the biggest thing that catches my eye is how tight it already is.
Yeah.
I mean, it is exciting because that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. I mean, and so let's look at this, right? Larson's 35 up and then was Reddick. Reddick's 23 up. And he won the regular season points.
Right.
That's why when I said what I said on the show, I think last week about
he got 15 points for that.
Right, he got 15 points.
12.
And I said on the show last week, I wouldn't mind if you got by rounds, because everyone was like, well, a lot of people on social were like, well, 15 points, that's so much. Does that look like so much to you on that? On that? We got Atlanta round one. Like, that can be gone in an instant. So you're not promised the next round just because you win that. And this just shows how close these guys are and how great the racing is.
And when you look at those points and you look at Kyle Larson's total, he missed a whole race.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But it also shows how fast and dominant they've been in a lot of places this year throughout the 26 races throughout the regular season. Yeah. So those 35 points are sure he got the 12 points for the regular season championship payout. For points. But think about how many stages he won, how many laps he led, how many races he won. That also has that body of work in these point standings that reflect not only your regular season standings, but how your car has been in all these stages and the points that you've accumulated throughout the year. So it's a very interesting system. But I think when you look at the points and how tight they are, this is a different start to the playoff.
It's never been like this.
Never. Yeah. It's the points have been like this. They haven't ever gone to Atlanta at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
and it's going to be 80 degrees, and you're going to be super speedway racing, knowing that you got to hold that thing down that pedal down as much as you can to go fast. And I think we're going to see a wild card race like we hadn't seen before. And this is not your Talladega or Daytona that we're going to.
Different. You got to have maneuverability.
Let's talk about the complexion of this round a minute, because you just referenced it. Atlanta is first, then we go to Watkins Glen, then Bristol. 3 very different racetracks.
Very.
So what do you think we're going to see just from this first crop of races?
My approach has always been this. Let's go to the first one and see how we are.
Okay.
See when you go when you get done with the first race and I think going to Atlanta, I think you have to be aggressive. You got to put yourself in a position to where you have track position, race at the front of the pack if you have that opportunity. If your car's crap and it's not handling good, or you have something wrong, then you got to go into a little bit of defense mode and be smart about who you're around, what you're doing. Okay, we're slow, so let's concentrate on handling. Let's concentrate on whatever we need to be from a track position standpoint if our car is too slow and we've got too much downforce in the car, because that's really the trick at Atlanta. And I don't think you want to get too far ahead of yourself.
Okay.
From having an ultimatum plan, because I think it changes. I think you have to be able to adapt to what happens one week and go to the next week to know how you need to race. We heard Buescher talk about, well, you got to know. We don't care about anything but winning. Well, that's fine, but there are multiple ways to survive these first round, of playoffs, and I think the second round and the third round are a little bit different from what you need to do. But this first round, you can survive off of just being smart.
I have a couple questions I want to pose to you guys now that we're at the start of the playoffs. First one being, who do you believe will be the teams that are eliminated first?
I saved it on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You ready?
Well, Kevin can go first.
Kevin this is coming. Yeah, go ahead.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you
go first.
Do you need to look at the points?
Just went away.
No, I know.
It went away.
I know, it went away. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think Harrison Burton's out.
Yeah.
I think that they did a fabulous job of getting themselves in position, but you still have this Atlanta factor that goes with this, right? We saw a 3-wide finish with Kyle Busch was in that finish, right? That changed Daniel Suarez's season. So I think that it's Suarez out, Harrison Burton's out. I think you're going to have a surprise. I think Alex Bowman is out.
Ooh.
And who else?
I'm going Austin, Cindric, Burton, Briscoe, Suarez.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I want Briscoe to continue the momentum, and he may well do that, but those are probably mine.
I think I got HB unless he wins at Atlanta, which Fords have been so fast at Atlanta. They almost have sat on the pole every time we go there with this configuration. I think Daniel Suarez, the 99, just hasn't really had the speed, but maybe since they're the only car in, they'll get some help.
That's true.
And a boost
And
from
he's
the
good on a
teammate.
road course.
You know, looking at it, I think Cindric, they make a lot of mistakes. The team does. Like take away the speed part, the execution of not getting penalties.
Last Daytona.
Yeah, they just end up having a lot of mistakes. So I think that might bite them. And MTJ, man, like,
no, you're not going to do it.
Well,
it's either him or Ty.
Yeah. You think it's going to be him or Ty?
Because like they have a struggle with finishing the races where they're running. It seems like
he's pretty good at some of these tracks.
Yeah, he's good. He's good at them. Like I wouldn't put it past him to win one, but like if I'm just looking at from what the year has been, they're in position. Something happens to the end.
Yeah,
like backing your way into the playoffs. That's not great.
Yeah.
Ty did a great job all day, but he got in a wreck too. Like that, those things happen to them a lot.
I can't do it. I want Martin to advance.
I know. and I think that a lot of this is going to come down to what happens at Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for those two guys, I think a lot of this for Ty Gibbs and Martin Truex, a lot of this is going to come down to whether they finish Atlanta or not.
Okay, so big premium on the Atlanta race is
Martin's
what I'm
going to have to be aggressive.
Yeah.
At Atlanta.
Yeah. And not make a mistake on lap 3.
Looking at this real quick too. Sorry, KB.
It's okay.
If other than outside of like Hamlin, and then I'd put the 14 in this too, because the 14 has nothing to lose. So I feel like they're just going to throw everything at it. But those other guys have been fast enough to win week in and week out, so they can race a little bit differently.
Okay.
Point.
So that's the negative side. Now, who is our early championship pick? Because this is the
I'm
time.
sticking to my guns. Denny Hamlin.
That's right. We already knew yours. He called it. And what race were we at that you said that?
I don't know.
Driver 11. Okay.
Driver 11.
I'm driver 5. I feel like we're
going back-to-back championships, baby. We ain't seen this.
Okay, so we have 3 different picks. All right, so you're going 11. I'm going Kyle Larson, and you're going the 12. Okay, there you have it. You guys want to elaborate at all on your picks, or that's enough?
I just think that there's I think when Denny looks at the way that they've run this year, the way that they ran at Phoenix, he's got to know that he's running out of shots. And I think when he sees that regular season trophy sitting in the shop at 2311, I just got to believe that there's some sort of motivation there. And I think when he and Gabehart look at all the things that they have accomplished and been together and can do, I think that experience of being able to have been there before, I just think that eventually it's got to happen.
Yeah. I would say for Kyle Larson and company, they're ones that have been there before and been able to get it done. They're leading in a bunch of categories right now.
Yeah.
Lots of momentum going into the postseason. It's just hard to count out Kyle Larson. You know he's going to do whatever it takes along with his crew chief. The pit crew was on fire yesterday, I might add. So I don't know. I'm going.
Tell us why the 12 is going to win. I'm super excited to hear.
You have a lot of good reasoning, both of you, as to why. I mean, his is kind of like, well, he just has to win because he has to win because he's been there. Yours makes sense because, I mean, Larson has won a championship already, at least. But listen, what have you done for me lately? And lately, the 12 has been there, and he did it. He won the championship the last time. When they went to Phoenix the last 2 years in the championship round, he finished second in both times, right? Look, man.
You just said it. What has he done for me lately?
Won you a championship.
Yeah, but what has he done for you lately?
This
That's
season?
over. That's old news.
Listen,
it's old news.
Well, that's how we got to this point.
We're getting started. We're getting started by wrecking on lap 5.
Well, no, Truex wrecked on lap 5. We just happen to be there.
Either way, you're in it.
We just have to be there.
It's all about the old Mo at this point.
If I'm
gotta have the
they've been fast. They've been
the old
really
Mo.
fast. If I'm worried about anyone, I am worried about Kyle Larson in the 5.
Yeah.
What?
The 5 has been
you're
dominant.
not worried.
I am worried.
Yeah.
If I'm that's who I think you're racing against.
I see.
Like I think the 12 is going to win, but that's who I feel like they're racing.
And the other thing is, I thought at moments, outside of this whole conversation, at moments that 24 car,
I know
moments.
Yeah,
he had moments
especially
where he had the speed.
Yeah,
but I'm telling you, if somebody like that, that hasn't had that momentum like William Byron has had going into the playoffs, somebody who hasn't had it, has a bad run at Atlanta, it'll be lights out.
I cannot wait for it.
It'll be lights out for somebody like that.
It's going to be very exciting. This is the best time of the year, as we say. The playoffs are here.
We're all just guessing.
We're all just guessing. And now it is the best time of the show, according to Mamba, because it is Social Sips time.
Oh, well, the fact that you said it must be, Kaitlyn.
You always say it every
What if
week.
my coffee's still hot? Probably not.
My water, solid. The last show, guys, we got to actually put alcohol in those cups, just saying.
I mean, I would have done it all year. I didn't know we had to wait.
Anyway. I thought you were drunk every show.
Anyway, America, welcome to your favorite part, Mamba's Social Sips. And off the top, real quick, there's been a lot of great fans that were at Darlington. Somebody watches the show. His name is Nathan. Watches the show every week. Appreciate you. He had an autographed hat by somebody in the studio.
Oh, really?
And someone tried to buy it for $500. He said, no, you can't buy this hat from me. Mm-hmm. And the autograph was not Kevin Harvick, it was Mamba Smith's autograph. $500, I ain't getting rid of that thing. So,
wow, I was not expecting that.
Me neither, but I was told, I'm like, he's stupid. He should have took two.
He should have taken the 500, buddy.
I said, what, $5?
That thing's not doing anything but going down.
Yeah, and then the other, real quick, I lost this necklace. 8 years ago in Lake Norman. And my mom had someone, his name's Philip, he went and dove and found it in an hour. 8 years ago.
Really?
And it's back in right where it needs to be.
How
back
cool
at
is
home.
that?
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Yeah, great.
So now it's going to go somewhere.
How do you dive to the bottom of Lake Norman?
Well, no. It was in a cove. Like it was in like in the middle. It was like in a cove. Like he found it.
Okay.
So I know we're off basis. So anyway, sorry to our producers. But here we go. Let's start. 2311, Curtis Polk. He had a sign on his back. And Bob, look at Bob's picture. I can't get enough of that.
Bob looks like Tyler Felt. Might be some poop in his pants.
This is great. So on the back, it's really small if you can't see it. It says, "Please don't ask me about my charter. I don't want to." What was that word, Kaitlyn?
Disparage.
Disbarge.
Disparage.
Thank you for saying
Disparage. NASCAR and lose it with the emoji of the smiley face zipped mouth. So Kevin, we had
see from his
Steve
reaction
Phelps here, and he said that he doesn't like doing negotiations through the media. This seems like very media driven. What say you?
I don't like it. I think it's.
Like it.
I don't know all the details of everything that's going on, but I've never felt like antagonizing is a good negotiating tactic.
Poking the bear.
Yeah.
Don't poke the bear. Yeah.
I don't like.
What if it just had a sign that said, "Don't ask about the charters"?
Or you could just
say nothing.
I'm just not.
No comment.
We're just not in a position to talk about it.
A sign on your belly, like
says no comment.
Yeah,
but gangster for him if that's what he wants to do. Like
they got attention.
I would like
that's
walking around
sure.
with an 8x10 piece of binder paper on your back.
So I wouldn't do it.
Kevin's not impressed.
Not impressed.
Unc isn't impressed with everything all the time.
I'm honest with you.
He's honest with it. Speaking of honesty, Bubba was honest about getting his butt whooped by Kaitlyn Harvick at Florence over the weekend in the media center. But there's some awesome soundbite of Kaitlyn interviewing Bubba.
What do you think?
Right now, at the moment?
Sure.
I'm wondering why you're interviewing me.
I had nobody else to interview.
Oh, okay. What do you want to talk about?
Whatever you want to talk about. How was your race?
It was eventful. I was late to the grid, joined on at the back of the pack, off of turn 2, and finished second. So that's my best finish of the shootout. I'm just trying to be like you. Every race, every lap, trying to be like Kaitlyn Harvick.
Alrighty. Thank you.
he's like, I don't know how to get out of this.
So that race that Bubba is talking about, so he ran the whole summer shootout with the kids, and was these kids absolutely love Bubba because he is up in their grill if they do something wrong. He's taken their grief, and they had the best time with Bubba around. He came and raced at Florence this weekend too, but that was actually at the summer shootout. And that particular day, Bubba missed the start of the race. They were on the racetrack when he realized that his class was on the racetrack. And he has a YouTube video that's pretty entertaining to watch of the whole sequence of everything that happened. So if you haven't watched it, go to his YouTube page and watch it. But he comes racing out of the pits, and they're coming to the green flag. He comes off of turn 2, joins the back of the pack, and he goes on that day to finish second right there. So
if you've never been to the summer shootout, like it's the quarter mile in the middle of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the way that you enter the racetrack is off of turn.
We were in
2.
the ARCA garage.
Yeah, and he's in the
He had to drive all the way through the pits.
which is in turn 4, folks. Turn 4. So like he drove all the way through the pits. And because the green flag, because you enter the track after the start finish line, you can kind of blend in and it'll be just fine. And he wasn't a lap down yet. So
that's right.
Keelan, though, already stepping in Dad's shoes for journalism there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That wasn't very good.
I mean, have you seen your
It
first
was funny.
one? It was funny.
It was cute.
It was funny.
It was good.
No, he does good at stuff like that. And I think when you have somebody like Bubba, I think Bubba stumped him a little bit there with
He's just like, I don't know, what do you want?
What do you want? He didn't know what to ask him.
Well, I'm gonna ask you guys a couple questions over the season. All right. First question.
Wait a second. I thought this was like I thought you were telling
You
us
should
stuff.
skip
Now we're
to
getting
do
questions.
funniest moment because
No.
I dominant.
You know, well,
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to know what was the most dominant performance that you saw this year?
I was like trying to remember that.
Oh gosh, I can't remember what I did yesterday.
You say you can't pick one?
Dominant
have one?
performance?
Yeah, I have one.
I honestly I didn't see that earlier, so I was like, oh shit, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Listen, it's my sips. It's my answer.
Okay, you go.
Christian Eckes leading every lap of a truck race.
Oh, I love
I think
that.
it was at Nashville. He dominated. We
Yeah.
haven't seen that, and I don't know. It doesn't happen very often. So for him to do that, I got to give him some flowers.
And he's
I think
moving
that was
on
good.
to the
And he's
Xfinity
moving on
series.
to the Xfinity series.
That's a good one. I love that.
He was one of those guys before some of these other guys like Harrison
So-
until I got there.
You're telling me that you picked a truck race?
Yep.
Hey, we love the truck races.
I love the truck race too.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know.
truck
That's
Okay. Funniest moment.
I have this one ready.
Okay. Funniest moment throughout the season. Go ahead, KV.
For me, it's still the Kyle Busch Ricky Stenhouse fight.
Which part? Wait, which part of it?
When Ricky was on the ground with his belly hanging out. And the shorts that Kevin absolutly
the shorts, man.
could not get over. That was the funniest.
We should
moment to
auction
me.
those shorts off.
I think he did. I think
Did he?
Bob told him that he should.
I mean, I've seen him wearing them after the race.
Okay, so
they kind of.
And Bob Pockris was
Maybe
part of that moment. Also, one of the
amazing.
funniest parts.
Maybe
That's where the
Bob's-
picture
yeah,
came
that's where it
from.
came
I don't know. The Busher Reddick thing was pretty entertaining.
He thought,
It was.
why do you think that one was so
Just
entertaining?
because he went up there and he kind of wanted to fight, and then he didn't want to fight, and it's like, you took that win from me. You know how important that was to me?
It's like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that one, mine is.
It's like he caught himself halfway.
Yeah, it's
Wanted to
like-
whip his ass, and then it was like, I can't whip your ass.
because it's like it's Tyler, and he's like, and
Yeah.
Chris isn't like really like that. Mine is SVG running. I think it was the first. It might have been the 500 when he was like, I don't know. No, not the middle.
Oh, yeah.
He's like to the spotter. He's like, all right, he's about 3 feet off you. Mate, I don't know what 3 feet is.
Yeah.
Like he didn't
What
know
does that mean?
What does that mean? Like in the middle of turn 2. Like I thought that was
Mate.
the best. That was the best soundbite of the year for
That's
sure for
funny.
me. So
Okay.
there's some moments. Love
Oh,
those.
you think we've had some moments? You just wait.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There's regular season moments. Those are fun and delightful. And then there's postseason
postseason.
moments,
Yeah.
and those are not the same. So, but we do need to grade
I'm excited
burnout.
for a grade on
the
this.
last burnout of the regular season. And I got to tell you, this might be a top one.
all year.
This was a good one, and he had no remorse for the engine, which always makes a good burnout. And I think
Always makes a good burnout.
yeah, this was donuts, this was smoke, had everything that you need for a good burnout. You had your crew there, people standing,
So
crowd
Yeah.
cheering.
right here where he parks on the finish line and just doesn't let it move.
Yeah.
The smoke is just out of control.
I loved it.
Like
That was
I was a
good one.
little worried about it at the beginning because he was just doing the Polish victory lap, and I'm like, okay, are we gonna get anything out of this?
Well, I think the reason that he had to take an extra long few victory laps, just he was pretty emotional
He
about
was
everything. You can see the
Yeah.
pressure and the emotion that comes with that. And Chase is, he's really had to go through that pretty much his whole career. So, but from the burnout standpoint, we got smoke coming out all 4 tires, but still P2.
When he gets up there and
P2?
pounds his chest,
I think it's still the second best one.
Wait,
Okay.
wait, who's
It's
the first
Joey's
best?
P1, right?
no.
No.
I think
Was it
SVG.
Joey?
is the first.
SVG.
Oh, it was
Wait, you're telling me
SVG.
you're
Okay.
telling me an Xfinity guy is the best? Get out of here!
Yeah.
Get out of here!
Well, we know we're going to see some awesome burnouts in the postseason, that's for sure. So we'll see if he still can claim the top spot. Time now, guys, for our last call and who we think can get it done out in Atlanta. First race of the postseason. What say you?
I have no idea.
Ooh, okay.
I'll be honest with you. You go back and you look at the first race, and this is going to be a pretty unique situation with the day race. The race starts at 3 p.m, and I know people will be like, well, what difference does that make? Well, I can tell you when we started in the day last time, it was obviously way cooler. Not way cooler, but it was cooler.
Okay.
And it went into the night. So I'm going to take a Ford.
Okay.
What?
Who?
Okay.
I don't know.
I have Joey Logano.
Joey Logano.
Because I just think some of the reasons we talked about before about our picks for the championship, like that's a team I could see come out of the gate swinging. That's like been through this.
And I think you have a very good point there because they need to come out of the gate swinging at a racetrack they know they can win at.
Exactly.
And I think you're probably onto something there. But I think it needs to go right for William Byron. I'm going to go with him 2 weeks in a row. And they ran well there before. But they're like, I think it's either going to go super good or it's going to go super bad for him. And it's going to be right here.
Did you just say you were going with a Ford and then you pick William Byron?
Yeah, I doped her into it. Duped her into it.
I think you're a little doped up. I don't think.
I was like, wait, what?
I was like, I didn't know he was running a Ford now this week. All right, William Byron and the Ford.
I'm going with the Ford of William Byron.
Okay, there we go.
I just think that those cars, the Chevrolets, they handle.
Yeah,
they handle good, and I think that the handling is going to be of essence. The Fords are going to be the fastest.
Yeah, they will be.
They will be the fastest, but it's that balance of downforce versus speed, and I just think that the Chevrolet seems to have a better handling versus speed scenario, but. That's a good pick with Logano.
I am gonna go with Chase Elliott.
Oh, I don't think you've picked him all year.
I haven't. They've been solid. Obviously, he was up there in the points for the regular season, in the mix to win it at the end of the regular season championship, and I think they need it.
Yes.
They need to start well. Like, there are some cars that need to start
Hometown guy.
Hometown guy. An honorable mention because he's been so close so many times, Corey freaking LaJoie. If he's going to win a race before this thing is over and the end of Spire and how that whole deal is changing for him, it's going to be right here.
Your guy and my guy are in the same boat.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be the make or break weekend.
You got to get it started because
they got to get it started.
Watkins Glen is not far away, and that one's a little bit tough.
And Chase Elliott was absolutely horrendous at Darlington. He was the last car on the lead lap all day.
Yeah. So we'll have to see who can rise to the occasion and deliver this weekend. Also, you got a big conversation coming up on the podcast this week that I'm very much looking forward to.
We do. We have Ben Kennedy on this week from NASCAR. And I think it'll be, I think after you release the schedule and you talk about the Mexico City race and Bowman Gray and so many things that Darlington being back in the playoffs and the way that the playoff races are structured and Richmond going away, I've got a lot of questions.
One thing about Mexico real quick, we had 4 fans that told me in Darlington they flew all the way from Mexico City just to go watch that race, to watch the race. They're excited.
That's
the
awesome.
Mexico fans are stoked for us to be coming back. I was like, you came here? Love you for it. Thank y'all.
Well, we look forward to that conversation. So for Kevin, Mamba, myself, that does it for us on this edition of Happy Hour. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Leave some comments because these guys will be in the comments. And we will see you after this weekend.